We'll come back to you. All right, tell me, Ms. Winfrey, what are we doing?
Okay, so that the defendant in this case, DeMarcus Kendrick, has actually two positions on your calendar. One case, my case, where he's charged with trafficking a person for sexual servitude. That's the 22S.
Where's that number, please, on the
Yes.
calendar?
That's
You know, April?
position three. And then he has the DV case.
And 13.
3 and 13. Is that the new case?
That's a domestic violence case. It is a new case.
It's not a new case, it's a new indictment.
Yeah. All right, what are we here for?
We're here for bond hearings, Judge.
All right, tell me what his record is, please.
Your Honor, I showed that the defendant has 45 cycles of arrest.
How many? I'm sorry.
45. And he has 2 felony convictions, one out of Fulton County in 09 SC 78614. That was a conviction for theft by receiving in 2009. And then 17 SC 152912, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony and fleeing, which was a conviction on 7/25/2017. He has 6 FTAs, one in 2000, one in 2006, one in 2018, one in 2020. He has the open case, the 23 SC 186065 for the domestic violence, and then our case, which is the trafficking a person for sexual
Tell me
servitude.
about that.
That case involves the trafficking of a minor. Her name was, I'm gonna use her initials, M as in Mary, D as in dog. Around October of 2019, officers were dispatched to Hugh Spalding Hospital regarding an instance of child abuse. And in this case, the victim, she was 14-year-old, 15-year-old. It was like a year she transitioned from 14 to 15. She had been, she made the allegation that she had been choked, she had been beaten, and that she had been made to sleep with men for money by a man named Debo. Debo is the street name for the defendant, DeMarcus Kendrick. She met him in the neighborhood. She and Debo got into an argument where he beat her. She later disclosed in her forensic interview, he forced her to take drugs, made her have sex with numerous adult males in exchange for money. She was directed to give all that money to the defendant. She, at this time of her initial disclosure, she refused to give his name. She was afraid. There's a co-defendant in this case named Antonio Adams, where she had left Debo, or this defendant, and met Antonio Adams, and she kind of was trying to get away from him and found another trafficker. So she's a runaway. So she's been in a tough life situation, but she's doing well now. But MD, stated that she kept running away and she was trying to get away from this particular defendant, to make a long story short. He is also charged, and I know Ms. ADA Hodge would argue on the DV side, and I can give you that factual basis as well, that in September 26th of 2021, there are 2 victims were in a vehicle traveling to see the defendant's relatives in Fulton. And second. And for no reason known to the victim, the defendant became violent and struck the victim in the face with a closed fist, and he strangled her. They were in a relationship. He strangled her, struck her again with the closed fist, and she lost consciousness. When she regained consciousness, she was with an unknown witness who had observed the attack and helped her get back to a nearby gas station where she got her car. Her face was swollen and bloody and bruised. And so she went to the hospital and was diagnosed with an eye bruise contusion and soft tissue contusion. Mr. Kendrick, he also has in terms of his criminal history, Your Honor, he has a violent history in terms of domestic violence. He has a 2010 family violence battery case. These are misdemeanors, but at this point it's escalated. He has a 2004 simple battery out of Cobb and a domestic violence case. See here. Previous domestic violence case in 2021 with the same victim. I'm not out of Thompson, not the same victim, but out of Thompson, Georgia. This was a different victim. He also has 5 violations of probation, 2012 violation of probation, 2013, 2014, and he has a 2018.
What's the status of the victim in this trafficking case?
She's doing well. She doesn't have a whole lot of family support right now, but she has a job. She's doing the best she can. The actual mother of the victim in this case and her grandmother were actually charged with cruelty to children in the first degree because they were aware that she was leaving with, the co-defendant in this case, Antonio Adams.
Where is he?
He is in jail in this particular case. He is in custody.
Charged the same thing?
He is charged with the same thing. They are co-defendants on the same indictment before the court.
Who represents him, Jennifer?
Ms. Hemingway.
Well, no, Ms. Bumpus
I'm
represents
sorry,
Antonio
Ms.
Adams.
Bumpus.
And so now both of those defendants are on this one indictment before the court.
Let me hear from Ms. Hanson, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. First of all, as to the criminal history, I've got his criminal history that was run December 27th, 2022. I don't see anything for 2021, period, involving anything, let alone domestic violence. He does have a misdemeanor theft by taking from Cobb County from 2022. But he has 2 prior family violence batteries. One was regarding his sister, and that was here, and that was 2011. Or 2010, I think it happened, 2011 conviction. And then he had another one, again, not involving this victim in 2012 from DeKalb County that forms the basis for the prior. So those are the only ones that I have for him. In fact, he's only been convicted of a felony once, and that was in 2017.
Please, I apologize to interrupt you. You're telling me 45 arrests
45 arrest cycles.
and all those failure to appear
That's correct,
and all of those probation violations.
That's correct, Ron.
I mean,
How
are you gonna get around all that?
Well, I would love to address that, Judge, and I was just about to do that. Again, he only has 1 felony conviction. Out of all of that, he had a First Offender Act that was sealed theft in 2000. And then he has the 2017 case that I think was before Judge Adams, but it was here in Fulton County. And the probation on that case, or the sentence on that case, was suspended. It was a 5-year suspended sentence plus 6 months. All of his cases involve theft, obstruction, false name, a couple of simple batteries, abandonment of children. He does have a number of children, so he got locked up for child support violations. But for the most part, his cases are driving, theft, and abandonment of children. He has only been arrested since December for these 2022 cases. I'm sorry, for the current cases. Both of them are from 2019 to 2021. He's been living here in Atlanta openly and notoriously. He was arrested at his home. He was not on the run from anything. He was simply picked up at his home where his mother lives in Cobb County. She lives in Austell, and that's who he would be living with if he were released on bond. I've not received discovery on the trafficking charge yet. However, it is not in keeping with the character that's shown from the criminal history that I have, that he would be involved in a sex trafficking charge.
If we're gonna work this case out, what is the penalty for trafficking?
The penalty for trafficking a juvenile is life. That's the max, 25 to 50 to life.
Is it a mandatory minimum?
Mandatory 25, but it's not a mandatory minimum, no. 25 is probatable, but he's a age recidivist. He's got 2 felony convictions. So he have to serve it every day.
Whatever he's sentenced to, he's gotta serve.
Yes, sir.
All right. Respectfully, based on.
Well, Judge, can I finish?
Yeah.
Please. Respectfully,
For a rule against you.
yes, I would love to make a record, please.
All right.
Ideally, I would like to be heard first on bond generally because it's my motion. So I think that I'm entitled to go first and the state should have to close, but I understand the court has its own routine. But he does have two sisters in Austell. He graduated from high school at Tri-Cities High School, got his GED. He's 40 years old. He has all of his children here, plus one grandchild. He has a job. He was working at the time that he was arrested. He certainly meets all the criteria for not being a flight risk. There's been no showing whatsoever that he would be a danger to witnesses. We don't even know where this child is at this particular point, nor do I expect to know where she is. So we would ask Your Honor respectfully for a bond on both of his charges in the amount of $10,000.
Ms. Winfrey.
Your Honor, we vehemently oppose bond in this case. We believe that the facts would show that, and the criminal history of the defendant, that he is a danger to the community. And that he will not follow any orders of the court based on just the number of violations.
I'm going to deny bond based on the fact that he's violated probation. He's failed to appear. And that's the basis. I think that I'm worried about him showing up in court. I'm not saying he's going to be a flight risk. I'm worried about him following the rules. So respectfully, Ms. Hanson, I'm going to disagree with you. All right, are we ready on Mr. Walker?